Would you rather be famous on the internet or in real life?
Internet, hands down. I get to
Yeah,
control way more things about the internet.
that is.
In real life, people are legally obligated, not legally obligated, legally entitled to like my name or whatever as soon as I'm involved in some form of lawsuit. Online, I can be definitely represented by a corporation because I will have not committed the crime. It will have been the corporation I represent,
I
most
see.
likely. And it's not a guarantee, but like my point is like, Taylor Swift's name is Allison
It
because she's
is?
been involved in lawsuits, which are the public record.
Mm.
And I can only imagine that that's quite the pain.
But I mean, being involved in lawsuits, like, whether you're famous from the internet or online, like, you have similar tools at your disposal. At your disposal, not disposable. It's not like suddenly being offline makes it so much different. Or
I,
suddenly
I,
being
I
online.
suppose I more so meant that as like once you have to face the consequences of being famous, it's a lot easier to avoid them
Mm.
if like you can deny certain aspects of your fame. But you can't deny any aspect of your fame in person.
Hmm. Uh,
I'm sorry. I'm probably ruining this for you. I'm just too good at Would You Rather.
I mean, because, like, if you're famous for things that are in person, then no matter how much hate you get online, and it seems to me like it is far easier to receive hate online, then you still have the ability to do whatever it was you were doing to some extent.
I
Whereas
suppose, but I can't spam filter bricks through my window.
this is true. But
Right? Like,
the thing is, I'm not sure that, like, that's also true of people who are online. Like, they still have their houses get broken into. They still have all this thing. Like, everything that happens to all the downsides of being famous in person are the same downsides of being famous on the internet for the most part. There is, on rare occasion, the potential for a higher degree of anonymity on the internet that sort of serves as a protection to that, but it's also way easier for that anonymity to be breached to a certain extent, I think. Because you're always online, you're always sharing things online, and because that's where your career is. And because of that, then it's much easier. Like, online audiences behave differently from in-person ones, and they're more used to the culture of the internet, and they're able to take advantage of that in
it's
different
more
ways.
useful to be feared by my subjects IRL than randos online. That is fair on Just Banana. You know what? Maybe I should
Yo,
take the word of the ruler of the Banana Republic
mm-hmm.
as far
I think he's
as
onto something. Onto something indeed.
Machiavellian politics is concerned. Which would you prefer, Joshua? You didn't give an answer.
Oh, I think I would slightly rather be famous in person. And I think that's because the threshold for fame in person is higher. And like the actual influence that you have being famous for in-person things is higher than the equivalent amount of fame online. Like, if you're famous in person, then there's enough sort of legitimacy and influence there for you to actually do things. Whereas with the same amount of fame online, there's often very little you can actually accomplish. I think fame in person more frequently translates to actual tangible power and capability than fame online does. I think there's definitely huge advantages to being famous online. And I think it's also easier to get famous online. But I think your ability to actually promote or provoke or otherwise induce change around you is much more limited if you're famous online. And maybe that's just because most of the people who are famous online just don't care enough about making changes in real life to actually accomplish much of anything. Because, I mean, to a certain extent, it's probably that, like, the people who spend enough time online in order to get famous online are not invested enough in person to, maybe invested is not the right word, but, like, their skill set and energies they aren't spent on making changes in the in-person space. And so they're not oriented towards change in that space. Does that make any sense?
It makes a significant amount of sense.
So it could just be like the sort of people who are attracted to online fame are also the sort of people who are...
Kilroy says, but Mr. Beast? Yeah, that's fair.
I think Mr. Beast is in many ways an exception. And I think... Oh dear, my game crashed. Well, that's annoying.
Okay, that's fine. It gave me a save now vote.
Here, I'll just... Yeah, if you save now, that should help. I mean, Mr. Beast is an exception.
Honestly,
but I'm
think... going to bed pretty quickly, so this is probably a really good...
That's true. Yeah, if you just want to save. And then when we're done, then I'll show you how to send me the save file, and I'll keep it for next time. I do want to finish talking about the fame online versus in person a bit though first. I think Mr. Beast is he is certainly an exception in terms of the change he is able to accomplish. But I also think that the amount of fame that he has online is so extreme.
Yeah,
it's just so extreme that that it does translate into real tangible influence. Whereas if he had a similar following in person, I think he would have far more influence. Because he is tremendously influential online. But if you think of how much influence somebody of a similar standing in the real world to where he is in the online community, I think it's just no contest to the power he would actually have. Like,
oh my gosh,
fame that Mr. Beast...
I was trying to follow along for a little bit, and then I actually sat down. Well, I mean, I'm still sitting down, but like I actually critically thought what you're saying. And then it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Mr. Beast would probably be more popular than Trump. You're right. And Trump is really popular. I'm not talking about all of the detractors. I'm just talking about the people who like him.
No, I think that Mr. Beast is... The amount of influence he wields within the online sphere, the sort of weight he has in the online sphere, is equivalent to a major presidential candidate in the real world. And yet a major presidential candidate has like infinitely more power to wield to change society as they see fit compared to what Mr. Beast can do. And Mr. Beast does a lot.
Yeah.
But he, like, compared to somebody like Barack Obama or Donald Trump, it's just not quite the same order of magnitude. It might be close, but it's not the same. And I don't know exactly why that is. And I don't know if that's a permanent state of affairs either. It's like...
It sounds like that thing that MatPat talks about now and again, about how, like, online creators aren't given the same respect that sports people are, or musicians.
Yep.
Like, if you're a musician and, like, you do mostly online events, you need like 50 times the following.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And even then, like, you might not get everything.
No, I was just about to say, like, sort of on a different track, but
would be.
Like, if you think of, I forget how long ago it was, but I know at one point MatPat said that he got like a gift basket from Google, and this was when he was like a major creator on YouTube, like just truly massive, and he was like mid-level influencer, and he was like, well, what's the threshold? Like, he called them up and he was like, how much bigger does one have to be? And they're like, oh, sorry, you're a YouTuber. Like,
yeah,
there's nothing else you can do. And I don't think that's the case anymore. So I think that there is some change happening. I think that there has been, in the past 5-10 years, an increasing legitimization of online influence. And I think that's only going to continue. I'm not sure for how long.
I'd agree to that. Like,
there may always be some difference between online and in-person influence, but I think the distance between those two is narrowing, if slowly.
Yeah. It's weird because, like, big name YouTubers and streamers, honestly, it's not really much of a contest. They're this generation's cultural leaders. Like, no contest whatsoever. And that's really weird to say, even coming from our side of the equation.
Yeah.
And, like, not always do you want, like, freaking the brothers constantly involved in the Paul brothers.
Yep.
You don't really want them to be your cultural
the main
leaders,
cultural
but
influence.
like,
that is
the fact of the matter
so
is they kind of are.
They're certainly one of the major cultural influences. I think a lot of their influence has slipped away over the years, and thankfully so. But they still hold major sway in terms of
they've managed to trade most of their online influence for real life influence. Like,
I don't think that their conversion rate has been good on that, though.
It hasn't been, but they've gotten better than I would have ever expected.
Yeah, they definitely have legitimized themselves a lot.
Terrifying.
The other thing I think with that is that even though, like, YouTubers and streamers are the cultural sort of the cultural leaders of our generation, I think they're not much more than that. And I'm not sure if they have the potential to be anything other than that. They may lead us culturally, but I'm not sure if it would even be possible for them to legitimize themselves in any other sphere other than cultural.
Even if that's it, though, like, that's a lot.
Oh yeah,
of influence.
It is significant, to be sure, but cultural influence, as far as influence goes, is it's not the strongest type of influence that there is, you know?
Yeah. There's a reason why people have to have, like, all sorts of measures to preserve their culture. And there's a good reason why, like, no matter how fervent they are about it, they keep failing, where it's a constant uphill battle. And it's such a constant uphill battle that, like, I didn't realize I was so French for a long time. To make it a real long loop-de-loop of conversation.
Yup. Right back there. Well, I think that about does it for the night.